I'm going to be the first to admit that I may be beating a dead horse here. Okay? I might be beating a dead horse. I know this is... And I do pretty extensive coverage of the things I talk about when I feel like there's an update. I know that this whole H3 versus Keemstar thing isn't really as big of a deal to be, talking about it as much as I am. But, like, it kind of hits me in a weird way. In, like, a personal way. Honestly. And I'm just going to be honest with you, right? I understand that it's probably not super enjoyable. But it hits me in, like, a weird way. And it's because I tend to personalize... I tend to personalize stuff like this when we talk about like inappropriate interactions and stuff, and this one really irks me because I feel like Trisha and Ethan are really just trying to dogpile Keemstar. And I understand it because Keemstar is a scumbag. He is a really big scumbag. He's an immature scumbag. But when it comes down to the scenario, I don't think that a 20-year-old dating a 39-year-old is definitely weird. I don't like it, but it's legal. And they're trying to make it seem like he's preying on her, and I don't think that he is. Everything I've seen, he seems like, even on the podcast, like they speak about her in a gross way, but it's really comes down to like Keemstar being a child, and the other guy also being a child, and like a fuckboy, and Keemstar is like that. Keemstar's like the guy from 40-Year-Old Virgin that's like, yeah, tits feel like bags of sand. That's his energy. But Keemstar seems to be like a complete beta when it comes to relationships. I don't know how else to describe it. He seems to like really like this girl. Just being honest with you. And so like it kind of like hits me in a way where I'm like, okay, I want to talk about this a little more. And the reason I want to talk about the Boogie one is because I first heard about this from Boogie. He mentioned it to me. So now, I did a video on that. I went through Trisha's perspective. I went through Ethan's perspective. Now we're going to go through Boogie's perspective here. From what I know, from what I talked about with... Oh my god. From what I know, from what I talked about with Boogie, is, he had a similar interaction with somebody when him and his ex had broken up. And it was like a midlife crisis type of a thing. And like, honestly, probably like, oh, I can't believe like a younger person is attracted to me kind of a thing. That's not an offense to him, but like, I know how the mind of like somebody who's not traditionally attractive works that gets out of a breakup when they're older. It's probably now I would never really understand that because I'm the hottest person, the sexiest person in the world, and I have the greatest girlfriend in the world that I'm going to marry, and we're never going to break up. But I get it, you know what I mean? I do understand it. So let's watch this video, and let's watch it.
Ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, Boogie2988 coming at you live once again through the power of the internet.
Wow.
Yes, I'm once again...
I was going to boost the speed on that, but that was fast already.
And trying to put in the tiniest amount of effort. I got a new web camera, so do me a favor, drop a like on this video to celebrate this new web camera so you can see my horrible, ugly face in better detail. And I'm so glad I'm spending money to improve my videos on this platform. Right about the same time, it seems to be taking a giant dump on itself.
We're in the end game now.
I think we're about to see a major shift here on YouTube about discussing other creators, bullying other creators, speculating about other creators, talking about their personal lives. And let me show you why. You might have heard that the H3H3 podcast channel received 2 strikes, and their latest podcast was taken
I think that they received a second strike, not 2 strikes.
Down because they were discussing Keemstar's 20-year-old girlfriend. And I do desperately want to talk about that. But
I honestly think that they were like peddling misinformation about the situation. They were trying to make it seem like he was like predatorizing her. I think it was doing a disservice to like victims of assault in general. Those are 2 consenting adults. You could sit here and say like, oh, I think she's making a mistake. I do too. But like she has autonomy. She has the ability to make her own choices in life, whether they're good or bad. I make a bad choice every day when I eat the food I eat. But it's legal. That's how the life works. And then you learn from experience and diabetes.
But I have been advised not to because this video could get struck as well. So probably not going to delve into that here, but I have discussed it on Twitch and probably will be again. So check me out on Twitch next time I'm live. But here's the thing. 2 strikes on your channel.
I just don't think that I could be 100% wrong. I don't think that this is going to turn into like an apocalypse where you can't talk about other creators. I think that it just needs to be like respectful and not mass misinformation. I think that's more than anything else.
Channel is a very serious issue. You are only one strike away from your channel being completely deleted. Now, the good thing is Ethan's diversified. You know, he's got a lot of other revenue streams. He's got a lot of other things that he can do. But if he gets that third strike, and let's admit, he does make some edgy content. He does make a lot of enemies.
I'm going to have to make workout content, really diversify my bonds, you know?
Entirely possible that'll happen. Ethan could lose his podcast channel altogether. And it takes several months for those strikes to eventually fall off. So he's in a very precarious situation.
How is it? Is that how it works?
Myself, I can presume what was discussed here was whether or not it is okay for Keemstar to date a 20-year-old woman. I do have an opinion about that. I do understand why.
Yeah, I think it's okay. And it's like, it's just weird.
Thinks a 39-year-old man dating a 20-year-old woman is creepy and weird. And yeah, it'll probably end in disaster. But I'm of the opinion that a 20-year-old woman can make decisions for herself, and I absolutely know a 39-year-old man can as well. Like, an 18-year-old woman in this country can take a bullet for this country.
I'm just really. I know this is. I know I'm reading the strike system. So you get a warning strike first. Then your first strike, you pull down for a week. Your second strike, you get pulled down for 2 weeks if it happened within a 90-day period. And then the third strike in the same 90-day period will result in a permanent ban. So like it falls off basically after 3 months. I just wanted to throw that out there for context.
And as well, decisions for herself, and I absolutely know.
I just rewinded because I wasn't paying enough attention.
A 39-year-old man can as well. Like, an 18-year-old woman in this country can take a bullet for this country. So by the time they're 20, I think they can figure out who it is they want to date.
I think that we could have a conversation about raising the age of consent. You know, yeah, no, Boogie actually mentioned that to me. When I rated his stream, he was like, yeah, you know, back in the day, I talked to Ethan about how I was dating a younger person, and Ethan was totally fine with it, but now his perspective changes on Keemstar. It's probably a mixture between Keemstar and, like, Ethan's gotten a little bit of a, like, SJWE. Yeah. True.
And I think people infantilizing this woman or anybody else is doing a disservice to women, but that's my opinion. And the reason I say it'll end in disaster, because back in 2018, I dated a 20-year-old woman, and it ended in disaster. It's pretty obvious how that ended. She ended up lying through her teeth about me and saying that I was emotionally abusive, and I would trap her in my home, and I wouldn't let her work. Like, it was
Jesus Christ.
Crazy. It was crazy.
Let's see, he was 45 or 44 at the time?
Like, nobody believed it, thankfully, but that's what happened. So I feel like something like that could easily happen to Keem here. And of course, the other way could be true too. Keem is not a perfect person.
Oh, so have I seen the clip of that? Ethan hypes up Boogie? Really? That's interesting. Well, I wonder why. I really wonder, like, if he's going to talk about that.
Either. So there's a chance this woman will come out scarred and miserable because of it as well. That's the danger we take when we get into any relationship, much less one with an age difference. But at the end of the day, that woman is capable of making her own decisions. And
I was making a point before. I was like, we could probably have a conversation about raising the age of consent, which is reasonable because it takes a while for people to fully mature. I totally understand that. But right now, like, the age of consent is 18. Unless you're going to actively advocate for it, we have to, like, change the whole system, you know? And then even if when you change to 25, then you got 25 and 50-year-olds. You know, you're never going to be happy. I think 18 is probably okay as an age of consent. I'm not like I wouldn't be upset if we raised it, but I don't really think it's like a huge deal.
She's probably making one that she feels is
Ethan
best
was
for
saying
her.
good job
like
to
I said,
eat to
if she
Boogie.
can take a bullet for her country, she can probably take a kiss on the lips from Keemstar. She's probably going to be okay. But no matter what side of this drama you find yourself on, whether you agree with Ethan that this is weird and gross and Keemstar shouldn't be doing it, or if you think that Keemstar and this woman are perfectly capable of making their adult decisions because they're adults, you cannot argue one thing. This is probably going to have very lasting implications on the platform as a whole. And
I don't think that's true.
H3H3 podcast getting a strike over this is a huge deal. I mean,
I just don't, and I could be wrong, but I don't agree that this is going to have like a massive impact on like the way YouTube is operating. I genuinely think that people aren't understanding how toxic Ethan's video was. About, like, and to be honest with you, Keemstar should have had the same thing happen to his take on Carson. he should get a strike for that as well. Mass misinformation and like trying to deplatform somebody unjustifiably. You know, I think I don't think that this is, but I don't think that this is going to be have like long-standing implications on YouTube. Then again, I'm not a YouTube. I've only been on YouTube like maybe a year, and like so this guy Boogie probably knows more than me on that. But like I just feel like we're downplaying this drama. We're not understanding how like invalidating this situation is to true survivors, because at times Ethan calls this girl like a survivor, or a victim rather. I think he actually does call her a survivor, and it's like, you know, that's not a situation where you call somebody a survivor. She's dating an older guy, an old, immature person, you know?
And obviously, we've had YouTube drama since...
And like Ethan called her a child on a couple of occasions. He said Keemstar was preying on her. A lot of different things that like it was too loaded. You want to talk about it, like that's fine. Hey, this is weird. Like I think it's a little weird, and I think it's hypocritical for canceling Carson. That would have been my take if I was going to give like a pretty quick take about it. But he went on for an hour, and then I think he actually made a fake phone call between Keemstar, or rather him, and like he found a Keemstar's girlfriend, and it was just somebody who was like making fun of them. It was like, yeah, Keemstar has a small dick, blah 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 blah. It was kind of just like a big nothing. It was like a weird segment, and I understand it's supposed to be like a comedy stream, but I also think that when it comes to an accusation that's like serious, and that's the way that they were promoting it, that you should be more responsible. Like you can, just so you guys know, you can be serious even as a comedy channel or a channel that is satirical when things need to get serious. I have very like heavy joking videos where I have some like edgier content, and then I have very serious videos about assault, and like I don't make these types of jokes. Occasionally I'll throw one out there. If I'm with Mama Gut, you know, I'll be a little more jovial because she kind of grounds me, and that's like our dynamic. But it's never like this. It's never like a running joke. It's just like oof kind of a thing. And so yeah, I think that people are just too quick to defend Ethan on this situation. And I get it. Keemstar is a scumbag, but you know, my perspective is that it's invalidating to assault survivors.
There was YouTube, and we had drama before there was YouTube, and we've had creators discussing creators, and creators clashing with creators and beefing with creators since the beginning. That's just how it's going to be. But when it comes to big name creators like Ethan and Keemstar, the platform's going to take notice. And while, as far as I can tell, there's no official word as to why these strikes were given, I think it's pretty obvious, because either YouTube didn't like them discussing his personal life, Keemstar's personal life.
I don't think that's what it was.
Didn't like some of the jokes they made, didn't like
maybe
the speculation, whatever it is.
I think that maybe it's like the speculation. If I had to speculate myself, I actually think it's like the fake phone call would be like, if I was going to do it, I would think that would push me over the edge. Because it was like a 10-minute phone call. It was weird.
That's a pretty big sign that YouTube is moving in a direction where they don't want at least their high-profile creators to do that. And soon after that, it's going to make it so that you and I
don't know. I think that maybe they're just trying to get their higher profile creators to be more responsible and set like a better like narrative. We've seen it once. I think that like this is more of an outlier.
Can't discuss it either. While T channels have been being criticized a fair amount recently, and drama channels like it, for good reason, it is a very large chunk of what people come to YouTube to watch. It's very popular. People like drama. People like negativity. People like tearing other people down.
He's right about that.
That's what these channels do.
Yeah.
There are some channels that are completely
wrong.
dedicated to it that might get wiped out if the rules change in that way. But even channels like mine, or some huge channels like H3H3, Philip DeFranco, Some Ordinary Gamers, these guys will dip their toes into the current drama from time to time. I mean, I'm doing it right now. And I have a bit of a bone to pick when it comes...
Yeah, it's true. I think maybe that's what it is. They might be cracking down on like misinformation drama, because you see a lot of that, like misinformation type of drama all over the place.
To channels that do this, because I feel like I've been unfairly treated by some of these channels. I mean, I'll be the first to admit that I have been a complete piece of shit in parts of my past, especially in the last 3 or 4 years, and I'm going to have to regret that until I go to the grave. But a lot of the things that are said about me, a lot of the things that people discuss about me, are not even remotely true. And when you see some of these channels that pop up on your feed, you see these videos discussing me, most of it is speculation.
That's fair. I mean, like I've had my, and I'm nowhere near as big as any of these people, but like I've had my share of like misinterpreted cancellations, like where they'll take a narrative and they'll run with it. And I'm just going to talk about it because blah, 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 blah. obviously, I got to go into full context. I made like a joke a while back. It was, if you're old enough to bleed, you're old enough to breed. And I ended it with like, thank you very much, Andre Lopez. And so like there are allegations against Andre Lopez, 23 years old, allegedly slept with a 14-year-old. There was a couple of different credible points. So, that was my way of like signaling like, hey, let's pursue this. Of course, there's a mixture between people not hearing the last part because it was a weird trend and filter, people not liking me cutting that part out, and people just not knowing who Andre Lopez is that caused it to like fall flat. And so like I was like heavily slandered for months over that joke until I was inevitably pulled off the app. So I get what it's like to be dogpiled for like a maybe taking out of context or people, trying to sensationalize stories just for some clout or for some cheap views. So
none of it is true. I mean, very little of it in most cases. And it's so painful and so difficult to watch that happen, to watch creators that you respect and you love spreading false information. It kills you inside. It really does. But on the flip side, if they ban us from talking about other creators or change the way that we do talk about other creators,
what's going to be left?
If someone does something truly terrible, truly awful, we don't have much of a recourse to discuss it. And we're going to have to rely on YouTube to be able to handle situations like that. And YouTube has shown in the past, it is very...
That's actually a really interesting point. So like if they're going to start like monitoring situations of like what is and isn't true, and like it makes sense to monitor it, it's going to make them more apprehensive about like allowing conversations about predators, for instance, on different platforms. So, it's kind of like a slippery slope thing.
Not able to handle situations like that in the past. There's probably some sort of middle ground, and you know me, ever the fence sitter, I want them to find that middle ground where people aren't just wildly speculating, but we're still able to hold people accountable. The problem is right now, YouTube incentivizes people to speculate, to come up with drama, to invent drama, to spread misinformation, because that kind of thing gets lots of views and it gets lots of clicks. And
I wonder what percentage of this platform is drama. And like, I'm not just YouTube drama, but like most politics channels on this platform are also drama. Like it drives me nuts, and it's funny how there are like political content creators on YouTube that like talk down on like T channels. But they're just political drama channels, where like instead of regular drama. Honestly, most of them do that. They're just like political drama, and they're like, oh, the whole like a high and mighty act is like, well, we do more important content. It's like, you do, so you should be held to a higher standard, like personally or socially. And a lot of times, a lot of the political content creators just fall flat when they have like these very performative conversations and whatnot. So you guys are no better. In fact, you guys are probably worse than like the T channels.
It encourages people like Keemstar and H3 to fight each other, because
I'm so sweaty.
Even though those
So
audiences
hot
might
today.
be polar opposites, there's always going to be some level of crossover, and it introduces your platform to the other person's platform, and you can end up getting quite a bit of attention and quite a bit of a boon by beefing like this. And I think Ethan and Keemstar not only know that, but are willing participants in this situation to make money and bolster their internet fame. But then again, maybe I could be wrong. Maybe these people just despise each other, because
that
this
part's
has cost
probably
them
true.
so much in the past.
I don't think that there's like an active like narrative of like, let's drum up some controversy for views. I think that they're caught in the sphere of wanting to jump on the next hot story. And so when you are desperate to jump on the next hot story, you start creating the next hot story out of stories that aren't so hot. That's one of the problems, just for money, right? Like, and I don't do that. That's the one thing I could say. Like, I mean, on TikTok, I may have done that. I was a little controversial. I don't think I actually did that on TikTok. I was just controversial, like an idiot. I was just maybe I did it in a different way. Like, I would say controversial things sometimes. Kind of like gets in your head where you feel like you have to say something. But on this platform, I haven't. But like, I'll have some videos that are like huge, and then like I'll have some videos that aren't. And I've just accepted that, like, I'm just going to talk about what I want, and then people are going to, like, watch it or they're not. You can't chase that bag too hard, or else it starts diminishing your platform.
Both sponsors. Now it's cost H3 his channel. Lord knows it could impact Drama Alert one day.
Well, Keemstar lost his sponsors, I think, because H3 actively, like, tried to cancel him, right? I'm pretty sure he, like, called for a loss of sponsors like a year or so ago.
As well, and it could impact.
I saw a
the
Moist Critical
platform
video on that
as a whole, and that's really kind of what I'm worried about. I mean, don't get me wrong. If T channels disappeared overnight, I probably think YouTube would be better for it. But
Am
then
I
again, it would
am
be-
I a T channel? Fuck. Wait, would I be categorized as a T channel? Shit, maybe. Might be true.
a lot more boring, and we wouldn't have a way to hold others accountable.
People are saying yes. Fuck.
I don't know if that's worth the trade.
Well,
But who
goddamn.
knows? I
Fucking how the mighty have fallen. Nah, not really. But that's weird. I just wouldn't call myself a T channel. It's too too light in my feed,
could
But I
be
guess
wrong. This is
I
just
am a
one man's
drama
opinion,
channel.
And if I am wrong, I know you're going to let me know down in the comment section below. While you're down there, do me a favor, feed the YouTube algorithm, drop a comment, drop a like, hit subscribe, turn those notifications on if you want to see future videos from this particular poop-faced monster myself. Guys, as always, thanks for watching. I love you very much, and I will speak with you again.
Listen, guys, just don't do any of those things. Don't fucking interact on my posts, okay? I don't want to see any comments. I don't like looking at them. It pisses me off. Just kidding. Okay.
What's the age?
She will be able to legally drink soon.
Damn, you dog, dude.
Yeah, it was bad, man.
It's not bad. She's legal. You're out there.
Yeah,
You're
it was
shaking your
bad.
dick.
It was, but that's fine.
Look.
It was
happened?
fine. I can't believe I'm talking about that. I've never even talked about this on my stream. But this is what you do to me. You just get this shit out of me, man.